Hello and welcome to another podcast from organicgarden.org.uk. I'm Colin Shaw and today I'm in the garden looking at some of the trials we started earlier this year. There are 4 1 metre square beds here, each planted with a separate crop. I'm stood next to the runner beans. There are 9 plants growing up a cane wigwam. No reason for being 9 apart from that's all we had left at the end of planting in another garden. But they're doing really well and there's lots of beans at the moment and looks like it's time to do another harvest. In front of the beans is a bed of carrots where I sowed 68 stations with 2 to 3 seeds per station. There was about 80% germination, so there are some gaps, but there's still a good bed full of carrots there. Next is a bed of onions, and I planted out 68 sets of onions on the 31st of March and they're ready to be lifted now. And the final bed used to have some Webb's Wonderful lettuce, but they're finished now and I re-sowed with Hispy, which is a pointy cabbage, about 3 weeks ago. Nothing showing yet apart from a few weeds, but I'm sure they'll be up soon. So let's have a closer look at the beds and see just how well this trial has done this year. So this is the bed of carrots. Tops are really good, and looking down in between, looks as if there's some pretty good carrots here. I can see there's some probably about 25-30 millimeters across, and if I just pull one out, we'll have a look, see what they're like. And this one's well and truly anchored. So there we go. That's a pretty good carrot, pretty good specimen. It's clean, no sign of any root fly problems or slugs, and it looks as if they're ready to harvest. And as I said, we should have about, I don't know, somewhere 50-55 of these from a square metre bed, which I think is actually pretty good. I'm just behind the onion bed now, and the tops are well bent over, died off, and they're just about ready to harvest. As I said, I planted out 68 sets of our Centurion on the 31st of March. Now most are a reasonable size. Some are no bigger than shallots. Take that one for example. While others, are a good size, the sort of size you'd get in the supermarket. That's probably a bit bigger than supermarket size. Most are around this sort of size, which is supermarket size. So on the whole that's worked pretty well. We have a lot of trouble with mildew here, and I was concerned that planting the onions so close together, these would become badly infected with mildew. In fact, the main beds, where the spacing is 6 to 7 inches, were badly affected by mildew, and this bed hasn't been. So it just goes to show that close spacing does work, even when circumstances are not at their best. So I shall lift these, dry them off, and then weigh them, and come back with the results in a few weeks. This is the bed that had the Webb's Wonderful lettuce in, and I grew 9 in this 1 metre square bed, which was probably too much because they're big plants and they were certainly very crowded. As I said, they're finished now, and I re-sowed with 9 Hispy, which are pointy head cabbage. They're much smaller and they will actually grow quite well at that spacing. A few weeds growing, but I can't actually see any. There could be one there. It looks as if 1 or 2 might be coming through. I've had to cover this bed with chicken wire because one of the neighbour's cats decided to use it as a toilet, and that wasn't very good because it managed to scratch out some of the seeds. So since I put the chicken wire on, it's not been back. So we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping that the Hispy will germinate soon, and if the weather's okay and we don't get early frosts, I'm hoping that we should be able to pick them sometime in October, November. It's the middle of August now, so that's maybe a bit optimistic. We'll see how it goes. A bit of an experiment really. So these are the runner beans. They're doing really well. I was a bit concerned that 9 plants in a square metre would be a bit too crowded, but they proved me wrong. We've had quite a good harvest so far, and there's a lot more to come. I shall harvest some before I leave today, and there are plenty of flowers for the coming weeks. This has worked really well and is something I shall use next year in the larger beds. Rather than planting rows, I'm going to plant some wigwams and try and cut down on the amount of space we use for beans. I think you'll agree this has been a really good trial. It shows that you can grow significant amounts of food in square metre beds. And I hope that it inspires you to go away, dig up the lawn and plant some veg, because that's always a good thing to do.